Bonjour, Kinamagene Ireland Adijnikas, and welcome to this Math Tier 2 intervention. Today's episode, Reteach 6.8. We will begin today's episode by looking at yesterday's episode, which included Reteach 6.7. And we had to find the pattern to solve the problem. In this case, $9.10 times 7.07 or 7 cents on the dollar came out to about between 63 and 64 cents. So it rounded up to 64. And then you add the 64 cents to the 9.10, you get a total cost of $9.74. And number two, the question was, Deidre has $20 to spend. Can she buy shorts that cost $18.50? So you had to take the $18.50 times 0.07, which came out to about $1.30. You add it to the $18.50, gave you $19.80. $19.80 is less than 20 bucks. If you'd been thinking pretty quickly, you could have also looked at originally we had the $18.90, and so we kind of knew what the tax was going to be. Just a thought. All right, so let's go into today's lesson. And today's lesson is Reteach 8. It is multiplication properties. Well, in the My Math lesson, you'll be doing this involving decimals. The point of this video is to remind you of the three properties. The commutative property, where the order of the factors does not change the product. And you want to look at each side of the equal sign. So over here, I have 25 times 4, and then over here, 4 times 25. I changed the order of which one was first and which one was second. Commutative is just changing the order. And both of those have a product of 100, so it shows that's good. Associative property is the way the factors are grouped, does not change the product. Notice I have 9, 4, 5, 9, 4, 5. I did not change the order, so there's no commutative property here. But however, in this case, I had 9 times 4, which is 36 times 5. And then over here, I had 9 times 4 times 5, which is 20. 9 times 20 is a lot easier to solve in your head at 180 versus the 36 times 5. A hint for the associative property is you will see parentheses and different numbers within them, but the overall order of the numbers are the same. Identity property, the product of any number and 1 is that number. So 87 times 1 is 87. 1 times 65 is 65. 1 times 11 billion would be 11 billion. It's not a real number, but same thing applies. So let's talk a little bit about the odds together, at least the beginning of the odds, and then you'll be doing some of the evens. First one, I see parentheses right off the bat. The order is 352, 352. And I look for the parentheses, it's associative. Here, 13 times 24 equals 24 times 13. I notice I've changed the order. There are no parentheses, and there's no number times 1. It has to be commutative. Now, when we get to here, use properties of multiplication to find each product mentally, and then identify it. So I'm going to use my annotation tool. And the first thing I need to do is I want to change the order, because I know that 25 times 9 times 4 can be difficult to solve. So I'm going to go 9 times 25 times 4, and that's commutative property. So I'm just going to use a C. You're fine if you use a C today. The next thing I want to do is I want to group them. I'm going to use the associative property. 9 times, now in parentheses, 25 times 4. And that's going to get an A for associative. Now I can start solving. 9 times 25 times 4 is 100. If you want to use an M for multiplication, you may. So now I multiply. 9 times 1 is 0. There are 2 zeros. My product is 900. There is a, let's see which one I want you to do. There is a trickster in here, just by the way. I'm going to give you, let's look at number 7. They're not very nice. They multiplied by 0. I could do this in any way I want, but it's always going to be 0. So I could go 9. I can group that together just for something to do on this problem. Times 0. So that's whatever 9. Oh, I would not want to really actually do this, just for the record. I'm going to change that, because otherwise I'm not doing mental math very efficiently. So let's group together 9 times 29 times 0. So that means 9 times 0, because anytime you multiply by 0, it's 0, which means it's going to be, in fact, a huge 0. I'm going to ask you to do numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8 as part of your assignment today. And those will be found within the Google Classroom. Make sure that you identify which property. Use a C for commutative, A for associative, or I for identity. If you want to write out the whole words, that's fine, but you don't need to. You can just use an abbreviation. I used M for multiply because I didn't really actually use any property there. I look forward to seeing the work that you produce. If you have any questions, reach out to me at mireland@psychchipschool.net. Please remember to try to join us during our in-class sessions when possible, because that's when we'll be making meaning as a group, and I'm available to ask questions in real time. These videos are still intended for students who may have missed class for whatever reason or just need further review. Hope you all have a mental giz you got. Meanwhile, Mama P.